If you don't understand what's coming next for Bitcoin, you could get completely wiped today. Right now, we're staring at two brutally, completely different outcomes for Bitcoin, and whichever one plays out will decide how the rest of your portfolio is going to perform. So at this exact moment, all the downside liquidity has already been cleared, but we still have a massive pocket of untouched shorts above 111k, and that could be bait for a violent reversal coming in the next couple of weeks. But if geopolitical tensions explode, we could instead see a full market-wide collapse, with BTC grinding down to 70k or even 60k within the next 12 to 6 months. And so today I'm going to break down both scenarios, okay? Best case, breakout, and also the worst case, war fallout. And I'm going to show you exactly how they affect the altcoin, the on-chain, the meme coin, landscape, everything. I'm going to break it all down today. You need to position yourself right now, not after the move happens. These setups only show up once or twice per cycle. I'm also going to show you which on-chain assets and setups are primed to explode and make you money under either scenario, and how I'm personally preparing for what's happening. Do me a favor, press that like button. This video is very important. You have to watch it until the end so you can stay ahead of everyone else. Let's get onto it. No time to waste. Firstly, my friends, here we are with the liquidation heat map, and I'm going to break down the best possible case scenario for Bitcoin. Look close. The majority of the downside liquidity has already been cleared. That big bright zone around 100k, that tiny square at the bottom there, gone, taken, wiped, okay? That liquidity has been wiped. So what's still untouched? That glowing other square, the higher one there above 111k, that could be a trap waiting to be sprung very, very soon. So here's the setup. If a geopolitical fear ramps up, Bitcoin could nuke a little bit lower first and then violently reverse to hunt all these shorts. So imagine they all make a deal, and by the weekend everything's gone. Everything is like basically resolved. This will make a violent move after. Okay, so next week, in the best case scenario, we would be basically witnessing one of the most violent moves in Bitcoin ever, hunting all these shorts. Okay, this is the best possible case scenario. Now let's look at what the chart could look like. It could look like something like this. You know, we're seeing an inverse type of head and shoulders pattern, and maybe the prices go a little bit deeper, maybe they even touch 99k, and then that spring action comes that I was talking about. There's no war, they make peace over the weekend, maybe over next week, and all the FUD gets wiped out and all these shorts are hunted, and we have our bull market. Okay, this is the best possible case scenario. Now, my friends, let's look at the worst case scenario, a full out war in the Middle East. So this chart shows us the worst possible case scenario. So here's the breakdown. BTC breaks down towards the low 70s or even 60k region, which is Bitcoin's production cost, which I think is the worst case scenario bottom. And this happens by late 2025, maybe even early 2026, and only after this brutal shakeout does BTC begin a true parabolic run, leading to all-time highs around 180k, maybe 200k by the end of next year, maybe even 2027. And then if we look at this chart, we are literally at the middle line, and usually we see corrections there. We see a bullish market and then a correction, then we see another bullish market and then another correction, and we have these tiny cycles, and we will keep having these tiny cycles until things geopolitically can look a little bit better. But this could also, in a worst case scenario, be marking some type of local top. Again, if you look at the charts, we could be seeing as well from a completely different angle a head and shoulders type pattern, and the price would bring us down first to the 90s and then lower and lower if all war breaks out. But patterns here are definitely not looking very bullish. Also, this confirms the idea that alts are definitely dead. They're already at the bottom. This is an others versus Bitcoin chart. All altcoins would confirm that they're never coming back, and they would just essentially be making lower and lower lows until most of them all die. In a worst case scenario, what we're looking at is, yeah, crypto investors waiting for the bull market, and then Israel versus Iran comes and completely wipes the entire market, giving us amazing entries on Bitcoin. Now we're gonna look at the two possible case scenarios when it comes to the larger meme coins, and I'm gonna break it all down. First, starting off with SPX. So scenario one, there's no war, they make peace, Trump and the Israelis find some type of deal, Iran bluffs again. We see a breakdown of SPX into this previous very important resistance, which almost got touched twice here in the 12th of October, and then turned into support in the 14th of January. Also acted almost as support here in the beginning of February. Also acted as support and resistance here in the beginning, in middle of May. So we see a pullback into 927 million-ish. So a break maybe below a billion, maybe a billion market cap acts as the bottom, because ones and zeros are these mental levels, especially a billion market cap is a very strong mental level. So we see a pullback there to 1 billion, a little bit below, I think 927, and then we continued with the all-time highs when it comes to SPX, which is right now, I think it's the most important meme coin on-chain asset to break down in all of crypto. I would say even more important than 𝗵𝗏 or 𝗏𝗏𝗧, even 𝗏𝗏𝗾𝗏 at this moment, because of all the attention, the media attention that Murad is driving to SPX. This is, I think, right now the best possible case scenario. We see just a slightly deeper pullback there. As I said yesterday on the show, by the way, I told you guys this is the top for SPX. Sell your SPX. It's a local top, very likely, because it's a break of previous all-time highs. And usually, a lot of the people that were buying all-time highs, a lot of the people that were buying a little bit here close to all-time highs, they're selling their bags there because they're scared. Very, very obvious local top. I think SPX would have pulled back regardless of what's happening geopolitically with Iran, United States, and Israel. And now I'm going to look at the second scenario. The second scenario is full-out war that lasts a couple of months until they find some type of peace deal. And this is more of a dragged out war. It's that scenario where we see all-time highs next year by the end of the year. But until 2026, we see the market correcting and BTC at 60K, 70K. I think we see SPX pull back here to 245 and 110 million market cap. This would be the worst case scenario for meme coins and for altcoins and anything really on chain. It's very simple to explain why I think 245, because this was the peak of bottom in March of 2025, and also 110 is support and resistance before SPX entire move. So I think prices would land somewhere in here. We would form lower low. Everyone would get scared. This is what I would absolutely buy with size. Then we would continue with all-time highs in 2026. In my opinion, this is the worst possible case scenario. I'm just charting the worst possible case scenario. I hope this doesn't happen and we don't have full-out war. Then when it comes to Aura, I think Aura is going to pull back to 50 million market cap or 49 million market cap, because this was the resistance before the continuation of this entire move. And if we look on the daily, this resistance matches previous resistance here. Resistance on the 10th of October and also resistance on the 19th of November. And this is scenario 1. I think the price is going to come to 50 million either way, regardless of what happens in the Middle East. And then scenario 2 is, okay, full-out war. I think it pulls back all the way to 21 to 12 million. And I think this is like the worst case scenario for something like Aura, which is very important to chart right now because it's definitely one of the most important meme coins as of now, because of what's happened in the last few days, because of this explosive move. Then we have 𝗏𝗏𝗾𝗏. Scenario 1 right now, I would say 687 million market cap and 602 million market cap. Why? This was resistance on the 12th of February and then turned into support right here on the 19th April. And this line here was resistance on the 25th of March. So I think scenario 1, it comes here and then continues higher and goes to 2 billion market cap. We get the scare, everyone is afraid of the war, things are solved, and in the meantime it just keeps pulling back. This is where I'm looking to enter 𝗏𝗏𝗾𝗏 on scenario 1, which is the bullish case scenario. We just see a slight pullback on all assets. And then scenario 2 is below 100 million market cap. Full out war in the Middle East drags everything down for a couple of months. 𝗏𝗏𝗾𝗏 will come to 98 million. Why? Very simple. This was the first resistance for 𝗏𝗏𝗾𝗏 before it exploded into billions. So I would see the price in worst case scenario come here and then continue. But this is, of course, the worst case scenario. Tomorrow I'm going to break down all these other charts. So let's see what happens between today and tomorrow. What's going to happen? I think we're going to get good entries on a lot of these other coins that I've been talking about all week. As I said, you should have taken profits on a lot of these already. I still haven't sold Mask. I still have Kitty. I only took profits on Kitty and Mask on the first move. So I'm only riding Moonbags. I haven't panic sold them. But if we have a full out war, obviously I'm going to sell everything. Anyways, this was the show. I hope you find this show to be informative. It's a completely different show from the rest. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to do a more continuation of the type of shows that I've already been doing. I hope you appreciate this, but I think it's very important for me to lay out the two possible case scenarios. One, deep pullback, scare, peace is made again. Nothing ever happens usually. So we have this major pullback and then we continue. And then scenario 2, full out war, and the bull market is just going to be extended for a longer period of time. And we're going to see new lows in Bitcoin, 70, maybe 60K. I think it's very important to lay out all possible scenarios and what I'm thinking right now. This is a time to be very careful. I don't think today is the time for action. Today is the time to be careful and lay out all possible case scenarios. Tomorrow might be completely different. And tomorrow I'll have a completely different show. So stay tuned because tomorrow I'm going to go back into the charts of all these tiny market caps. Thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed and found this informative. Bye bye.